I saw on the tube on the way here.
No, you did not.
So I felt like I got on the tube earlier and this guy got on. There was a woman sat, by the side, like by the little partition where you can just sort of like rest your head.
Uh-huh.
She was sitting in the middle. There was one chair empty with like her backpack on it. This guy gets on and said, "Oh, do you mind if I sit in that seat? Because I'd like to rest my head on the side." And she went, "No." Got up, moved her backpack, swapped seats with it, and then sort of leaned against the thing. And the guy was like, "All right." So then, after about like 2 minutes, she just decides she don't want to sit there no more. So she gets up, swaps again, puts her backpack on near the partition thing, and then sits right back down next to him. He looked at her and went, "Why did you do that?" He was like, "I told you I would like to lean my head up against the thing." And all she done was take her newspaper and lay across the backpack like this and pretended not to hear him. And he just...
What is wrong with these people?
And he kept trying to talk to her, and she was just like... putting her head in the paper, and eventually he got up, called her a bitch, and walked off. And then she just sat back up again, moved her backpack again, and sat back where she was. I feel like we had
people are unwell, and you would have seen my unwell colours come out.
Well, the thing
truly,
is, if it had been if the dynamic had been different, and it had been like a guy doing that to a woman, I might have been like, disgusting. That's the state of men in this country at the moment. But as it was, I was a bit like, that's fab. Good for you, you nasty bitch. I feel like we had a brat summer and now we're having a cunt winter.
But also, like, or in our case, just a cunt life. What I don't understand, like, why is he giving her like a full play-by-play of, "Oh, I want to sit here and lean my head against this." I don't give a fuck where you want to lean your head. Just be like, "Bitch, move your bag."
I think it would. Well, yeah, you could. Maybe he would have had more success if he'd done that. But he was like trying to play the sympathy vote. But he also had like a massive open bottle of like wine or beer or something like that. But he weren't like. Well, he didn't look like he was like drunk. That had been drunk all day. It looked more like he'd come from like maybe a hard day at like a fashion firm or something like that, and had bought himself a bottle of wine to drink on the way home, and it just started early.
Okay.
Can't win her, bitch.
Someone's got an alcohol problem. It ain't me.
Someone's got an attitude problem by the looks of things, bitch.
I mean, if I was there, I'd have pepper sprayed them both.
I know. People
I'd have been like, cool, man and woman on the floor. That's what you call equality.
Didn't they, like, fucking... You saw my shibari pics.
It's etched in my memory.
Yeah, well, certainly etched in mind after that teenage girl read me for them that time.
Right, yeah. Is that what she was?
Yeah, that's the picture.
It was over that, yeah.
Yeah, because I had that pinned as one of my, like the free top pictures on your Instagram. It was there for like a couple of years.
Wow.
Because I was very proud of it.
For some people, it's like them at their graduation.
Me, it's getting hog-tied and spit roasted. No, it was because...
Didn't like Sam Smith do it too?
I've got no idea. Why would I want to see Sam Smith do shibari?
I just felt like, your pictures look kind of similar.
This podcast is over. I hope you know that now. The podcast is like... Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
Dead ass.
No, that was like...
Snap out of it. So me and James just realised that we hadn't done share like this at all, have we?
No.
This whole thing.
We forgot about it. And I hope new viewers realise we don't actually think this is like
a good share impression. It's still better than some that I've heard though.
That's true.
I think yours is slightly better than mine.
Well, yeah. How does it feel, bitch? You call me. You compare my pictures to Sam Smith. I say your share impersonation is shit. On a net positive, I actually think you've still won that one.
Yeah,
anyway, them pictures is something I would probably have never done before, but they are very important to me because I think we've talked about this on the previous podcast, but for those who don't know, I, in 2022, had a bit of a shit year, and part of that was my appendix exploded inside me, and I nearly died, and I had to have a couple of surgeries and stuff like that. And after that...
because you got fucked too much?
No.
Oh.
How's your appendix explode from getting fucked too much?
I'm not a doctor.
I don't think you need to be a doctor to realise that.
You need to be a doctor to know
well
where it is. No, where is
That's
it?
What, your appendix?
Yeah.
It's over there. That'd have to be a curvy cock.
Wouldn't put it past you. I believe in you, babe.
Anyway, so yeah, I had like a rough year and I had surgery, which I've never had before, like anyone like cut open my stomach and stuff like that. And so I felt really weird about my body afterwards for a long time. Like really...
Did you have like a scar or something?
Yeah, it was like laparoscopic, so it's not like a big old, the long one.
Like a hole?
No, what they done was like they open up your belly button. So I've got like a little scar underneath my belly button, and it's not the belly button I was born with. It's a new one that they made for me. It's really weird. Because that's where... Yeah. You can't really see it, but it's there.
Oh, that fully looks like a normal belly button.
Yes, but that's not the same one I had. I had a different one.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So they go in, but anyway, it took like, obviously it's all swollen and sore and stuff, and there's 2 other little cuts where they go in like keyhole surgery. But I was really like shocked by how unsexual it made me feel for a long time afterwards, like even after it had like healed up. So then when I like left I was like, I need to get out of London. I need to like get out of this shit year and just like have a switch. So I went to Brazil,
Claro.
your
Mecca.
my spiritual home. And when I got there, like I had a friend who had done a photo shoot with this guy who does shibari. It's like shibari and flowers and stuff. And it's kind of like...
By the way, if you don't know what shibari is, it's when they like tie you up.
Yeah, it's like Japanese
like a
rope.
joint of gammon. And then dangle you from the ceiling.
Like a Marks and Sparks joint.
Yeah. Take...
But some of
it's
like
bets from the highest bidder.
Yeah, it's like it's not always necessarily sexual. Some of it is just about like the restraint and things like that. I mean, I guess for some people that is sexual, that restraint and that lack of control.
What would be the purpose of the restraint if it wasn't sexual?
Well, it's not necessarily sexual, but I think some people just find a release in it rather than a necessarily like a horny element to it.
Okay.
So I know people who have like very, very like high-powered or stressful careers sometimes engage in this because they like the feeling of lack of control, but they don't like. No one's
Here's
like
me just doing mushrooms.
Well, I'd done it because I felt really weird about my body, and I didn't feel like it. Like I didn't feel sexy anymore, and I also just felt like I needed to do something that would sort of like knock me out of this like weird situation that I'd gotten into. And because this friend had done it before, he was like, oh yeah, just email him and see if his like books are open.
How did you make the link between that feeling and shibari?
I didn't. It just sort of was presented to me. So basically I had been feeling really weird. I'd gone to Brazil hoping to sort of break out of it, and then the friend that I stay with, Giuliano, had done like a photo shoot with this guy before, and he said, oh, he gets like if you've done a photo shoot, I think you get like a newsletter email. And he was like, oh, this guy's books are open again. And I was like, oh. And I just thought at that moment, I was like, I need to do something to push me out of my comfort zone. And it's something that I would never normally do. So I just emailed and signed myself up for it. And quite honestly, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life.
Why?
So
what makes it like so special?
So I think I am a bit of a control freak. And part of what attracted me to this was like, I've had a year that was really out of control. And I'm trying to control things again and get things back to normal really quickly. And maybe doing something like this is just like almost like an acceptance of like a lack of control and just sort of maybe trying to embrace that.
Okay.
And this feeling of like, I've never liked being restrained. I've never liked I get a little bit, not claustrophobic, but I just don't like to be, if someone wants to hug for a long time, I get a bit itchy and start having to move about and things like that. And I thought this is also a good way to like challenge that and stuff. So I went and I did it. And the guy had said...
So are you like fully naked when he's tying you up?
Well, yeah. So you have the option to do that. I chose to do that because I'd like the scars were still like red. So they hadn't like all completely fully healed up and everything. And I just thought, again, it's like a challenge to do that and feel like out of control and not be able to like cover my body and do anything like that. And if I don't like it, the pictures don't have to go nowhere. Because it's a private session. It wasn't like he was doing it for like a magazine or something like that.
Yeah.
But I did it. And I said to him, like, I'm comfortable being naked, but I'll take your direction on whatever we have to do. And he was like, I just want to express this isn't like a porn shoot.
Okay.
This isn't the point of that.
So did you sleep with the photographer? Just as I thought.
It happened spontaneously though. Like I didn't have an expectation.
I get it because I feel like, as I've said before many times, like I'm very like sexually turned on by like situations.
Yeah.
So I get like if you're there posing naked, you're kind of just like
the lack of sight as well. So I had like my eyes covered with rope and my arms and everything were bondage. And he was basically having to sort of like, at points he was like, I want to pick you up and put you on this table so I can take some more photos there. And I was getting a bit like flustered. And at one point, I think he's like hand brushed my nipple. And even though I don't really get like, you know, I'm not like a nipple person, I started getting a bit like in a type of way. And obviously he must have noticed it visually, because then the next thing I knew, we was like doing stuff. But it honestly was one of the hottest experiences of my life. That lack of like sight.
Can I ask you a really blunt question?
Yeah.
The guy who does this, is he attractive?
Yes.
Oh, he is.
He's so handsome. Yeah, that was the other thing. I was because I was worried. I
thought he was just going to be like an ugly guy who's then like, okay,
no.
once you're tied up, you'll be horny,
I
and
was
then we'll do
shocked
stuff.
by how hot he was. So obviously, I've seen his other work, and some of it is like a bit kinky, like because it is shibari, so like there is an element of that to it. But it's also very beautiful. Like there's a lot of he adds like flowers and stuff into it. So there's
No,
like
when
a
it's on
mix of-
Sam Smith, it's not.
there's like a mix of things. Like of aesthetics, like this sort of like hardness of the rope, and then also like the flowers and the softer elements of it. But I had worried that I would just find him really attractive and feel embarrassed when I got there, and that wasn't the case. I felt like actually very at ease and free, and didn't feel weird about being naked about it. It was actually in the situation once I couldn't see and my hands were bound and everything like that. Then that was when I started to be like, it was almost like all my senses were heightened. So like anything, like
So your eyes covered?
yeah, completely. Like there was literally rope around my head,
Rope?
covering my eyes. Yeah, it's like silk rope, so it's soft but it's strong. Like you can't move it, and because my hands were bound as well, I couldn't have moved it if I wanted to. So it was actually like I did actually put quite a lot of trust in a person I've never met as well, in a country that I don't live in, and you know, like no, only less than 20 people in, but it was amazing. Like, and honestly, it was what I needed. I came away from that, even before I got the photos, I actually came away from that feeling like I'd like regained a part of myself.
Oh.
And that like it had reawakened like a sexual part of myself that had like just almost like gone into hibernation.
Dormant.
Yeah, because I'd had like the fucking appendix thing, so I felt all fat and cut open because you know you swell up when you've been like had surgery.
And then when they like put the rope on, do you feel like snatched? Because it's all
tight.
like...
Yeah, it's tight and taut. So, and he does it so that it accentuates
Well, listen,
all of your...
you know I'm coming to Brazil in February. Watch me on... Go catch you on Instagram. I'll be like...
Well, I actually considered doing another session with him. I was thinking of reaching out again because now...
2 for 1?
Because now I'm in like a better stage. So like I feel like my body's the place where I want it to be as well. And I feel more confident and stuff like that. And he's like moved into a new studio where he does things like bind you and then you can hang from like a ceiling and stuff like that.
I told you.
So I thought it would be like a nice...
The evolution to gammon
Yeah.
is almost complete.
I thought it would be a nice bookend to like I don't know. I get this thing of like I like to open and close an era in my head, and I felt like that is like a nice, almost like it puts a line under like a recovery or something like that. And also, you know, it would be nice to fuck him again.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I didn't realise what a difference it makes. You know when people are like, wear a blindfold in bed? And I was like, oh, I'll never do that. What if they rob me? Well...
Makes a difference.
Might be worth the risk. I'll just do
Does
my
it?
contents insurance.
Oh. See, that definitely appeals to me.
It is hot though. It's because of the lack of... You don't
Not
know
not so much the shibari,
No, but it's the lack of like...
because that's
And it's weird because I'm a really visual person. Like I'd be the first to say that like when you're bottoming, it's annoying because you can't always see what's going on. Like I like to be able to see what's going on. The woman was too stunned to speak. But I like to see what's going on. And so like, you know, like sometimes that's why I'd be like, film it because I want to know.
Oh.
Yeah. Whereas like, you know, when you're topping, like you can see what's happening.
Well, like, you're saying it like there's only one sex position.
No,
there's
I know,
more
but
than just
obviously,
doggy.
like, if you're bottoming, it's a lot harder. You have to sort of like crane yourself around if you want to see.
Bitch, you can just lie on your back and put your legs in the air. What do you mean?
No, but if you want to see it, how are you like? You've got pretzel.
Oh, you want to see? You want to see?
I want to see that. You can't watch all of it. I want to see some as well.
Oh, see, I don't need to see like it going in
This
and
is what
out.
I mean. But that's what I'm saying. I'm
like-
a visual person, so I like to see that. And that's why I was a bit like surprised by how having my vision removed, I thought, well, it's not going to be very sexy. I'm just going to feel like I'm fumbling around in a dark room. But it was mad. It actually elevated everything 1,000%.
Oh.
So just like just even like a touch on the arm or something like that, I was like, oh. I didn't make that noise, but
Hopefully not. But I feel like it makes a difference when they are, you know that they're extremely hot before you put on the blindfold. Like, imagine if you saw them and they were like some butters piece of shit, then put the blindfold on and tried to touch you, you'd be like, this is trauma.
I don't know. That's the thing is,
But
we've
it's
talked
like they
about how
always
situations.
Say, they always say, like it's only sexual assault if they're ugly. No,
do
come
they
on.
say that?
Come
Who says
on.
that?
Don't do this.
Who says that?
Like, don't you do this
Don't
to me,
you
lovey.
do this. You horrible, horrible girl.
You little bitch.
Bitch. Oh, come on, darling.
Yeah. No, gay people say this.
Right, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A foul.
Yeah.
So.
Uh-huh. Because I got tied up once. Did I tell you this? I'm sure I've told you this before.
No.
Yeah. Because I'm quite into the idea of it all, like the blindfolds, like the handcuffs, like all of that stuff I'm very into.
Right.
The rope. I'm like, okay, what would it B&Q? I don't know.
The rope was hot because I got to choose my colours as well. So I felt like...
But I hooked up with this guy and he was like, oh, we're going to use some handcuffs. I was like, oh, okay. I'll be honest, I'm relaying the conversation as if I remember it like it wasn't 10 years ago. But then he handcuffed me and then handcuffed my feet together.
And then robbed you.
No, and then handcuffed my hands to my feet.
So you were literally hog-tied.
Hog-tied. And
Something about that just, I also would feel like undignified because you're almost just a bit like a weeble.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you just feel so undignified and you're like, oh my god, I feel like this angle is just not flattering. Not that I care too much about angles once you're in it, but yeah, it was definitely. I still remember parts of it to this day. Obviously, there's some sexual encounters I've fully forgotten, so it was definitely a standout memory.
Right.
And he knew what he was doing for sure.
And you felt, was it like a situation where you knew the guy and felt comfortable with him? Or
Nah.
were you really taking a chance?
No, I literally just went over on like a whim. It was like a grinder hookup. And then he was like, so we're going to try this stuff. And I'm a very open-minded person, but generally I like to have a little bit more knowledge of who they are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I say that like I literally, like I said, went over to the house of someone in a fucking foreign country and done that. But I did feel like at least like he had like
And you had a
years
friend's
worth
recommendation.
Yeah, like I'd seen all the
Yeah.
art he'd done, like all the shoots he'd done with other people, and I was like, well, if he's robbing and murdering all these people, at least we got paper trail, or an Instagram trail. Whereas if I just met someone off a fucking grinder and then they were like, we'll truss you up like a turkey. That might give me a bit more pause.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, like, a couple of handcuffs feel like a little bit less than, like, all of this rope. It's like I was running anywhere, like...
Well, that's the thing. I think my legs were still free, so at the worst, I could have been like... like Maisie Gibbons running out of the fucking...
But also, you know when you just think, imagine if something had happened, like, just something bad had happened, and then they're like, suspect found... hog-tied.
That is something, like, I think about that just in general, though, with, like, when you go on a grinder meet, like, not necessarily they might murder you, but what if you just, like, had a heart attack or something, and then they have to come and they find you there, like...
Oh my God, your body's gone into, what is it called?
Like
rigor mortis.
Yeah. Rigor mortis with like a fucking torpedo dildo stuck up you or something like that. That would be an absolute hellish way to be found. I was worried, you know, the other day when we talked about death, and I was like, if someone saw my nudes in my camera roll, I'd be so embarrassed.
That's what I'm talking
pale
about.
in comparison to being found like,
you know, podcaster body found in darkroom with...
podcaster dies whilst someone was elbow deep in them or something like that. Like, imagine someone being like, hello, and you're just on them like a floppy glove.
Oh no, that's just... Even podcaster
I'm
dies
not
in...
fisty, but you know, it could happen.
Even podcaster dies in shibari. It's quite humorous.
Podcaster dies in shibari in Brazil is quite fab though. I always said, like, when people are like, how do you see yourself ending up? And I was like, dead in Brazil. Like, ripped clean in two.
Oh. I feel like it would be fab if you were like rich, respectfully.
Why rich?
Just because, like, otherwise, just like, oh.
A glamorous life ends in like a salacious way. Otherwise, it's just like piece of shit dies, like a piece of shit lives.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Matt. Do you know what fetish I hate?
What?
Well, actually, I discovered that I have a new fetish recently.
Okay.
It's seeing people that I hate under fluorescent light. Really does something for me.
Does actually get you off sexually?
No.
Just sitting like,
just mentally, emotionally. But
like a hospital cafeteria watching people get food under really bright lights.
Better than sitting outside the gym toilet while somebody has massive shit.
I had to know who it was. I had to know.
My thing is, like, when people fetishize themselves and then it's like all of a sudden they're surprised of the outcome of that. Like, somebody...
In what sense?
Just say, for example, like, and this is no disrespect to people that work in porn or adult porn stars, but people will then go into porn and then be like, everybody sees me as a sexual object. And it's like, but if you become a celebrity and then people see you as famous, like, don't be the Chapel Roan of Titan men.
Titan men! It's a hard one because I think everyone deserves to, you know, be able to be seen in
1,000%
abstract from what they do,
but also, like, but just be aware of the job that you're going into. Like, let's not play dumb. Come on, you know, like.
I think you have to go in with your eyes open to something like that, and you can complain about it. You've got every right to complain about people seeing you a certain way, but I do think when you work in that industry, it does come with that kind of stuff. And if you make money off of sexualizing your image, you're going to have to understand that not all people can separate that. And that's what I think we've talked about this before with like the idea of like things like OnlyFans. Right. Is that like if you... the one thing that would put me off of it is that people pay you. Sorry, I know you're like busting. No. You were like, boom. People pay their money and then they feel like they have paid their money and they're entitled to something, but you don't necessarily get to define that in what they're entitled to. Like, you might think you're entitled to 6 videos and a couple of photos a month, but they might think they're entitled to come up to you in Comptons and be like and grab your ass or your dick or something like that.
Sure, but
that's
I think
the problem is for me with something like that.
I just think like the entitlement to feel like you have something and and consent and that's like very messy and that's something different. But for how people perceive you, surely you're not going into a career of sex and then are shocked that people perceive you as a sex object. And I feel like 100% you're not a sex object. You are a real person. But that's what's... And it's a bit similar to like if somebody just saw you as like, oh, I just want to fuck you because of how you post on Instagram. There you go. That is the appropriate response. But also it reminds me of when people... Okay, it's usually people that maybe don't have like necessarily a lot going for them, but then they'll use certain parts of themselves as their marketing point.
Their dick.
So some people who have like massive dicks, or like I've seen it with guys who are like strictly tops, and what they'll do...
People have nice bums.
And what they do is they make it their entire personality.
relate to that.
But I feel like you do it because you have a good bum. Like, that's just like the plus. Like, you also have like a handsome face. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Of course you do. You're not fucking me after this, but you know,
What
just
a day for me. This is big.
She's had the charity beggars, now
I've
me.
had the chuggers. I've had someone at the gym say nice things to me. Oh.
But it's like those people, and they make like being a top their entire personality. And I'm like, okay, you're still unattractive. Now what?
I just think it don't do to define yourself completely through one aspect of yourself, whether that's like a physical attribute or whether that's like your job, for instance. You know, like people that completely define themselves through like their work. They're like, I'm a teacher and that's what I am. And then what happens if like, I don't know, the school shuts down, and then what do you do with yourself after that? Then you're fucked because you have to
even being a
redefine
teacher is not a bragging point. I think what we should focus on is like, instead of like the job, the money. People who, you know, like, I don't know if you just watched like the most recent season of Love is Blind. Every conversation this guy was having, it was about how rich he is and how much money he has. And it's like, yeah, but dude, you still look like fucking Screech from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, but that don't matter to some people.
Right. And that's why they do it. But then please do not turn around and complain that your girl wants money, because that's how you've advertised yourself.
And also that's the kind of person you're going to attract as well.
Yeah, of course, because that is what you're putting all of your weight on. Do you know what I mean?
Screech from Saved by the Bell did a porn film.
I know.
Saved by the Smell. That's what it's called.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
I
Shut
swear
up.
on my life, it's
By the
Saved
Smell.
By the Smell. It's because he does a dirty Sanchez on the girl afterwards.
What's that?
Do you not know this?
No.
So it's when...
He's going to fart in her mouth?
No, it's worse.
It's worse?
So he pulls out and there's like shit on his dick and he rubs it across her upper lip to give her a moustache.
Screech from Saved by the Bell did that?
Yeah. I don't know how that smell saved anyone, but...
Oh my God, she's just sitting there looking like a shitty Hitler.
I know. Hitler. I mean, is that better?
It was right there. It was right.
Is that better or worse than a Dubai porta potty? She got paid.
That was in a porno. That's worse. And it's on your top lip, girl. I know you smelt that and tasted that. And she definitely didn't get paid 30 grand. So if it's on your belly, you get a free trip to Dubai. I'm voting Dubai porta potty for sure. Saved by the Smell.
Free trip to Dubai.
That's disgusting.
30 grand.
Poop on his stomach, wipe it off with
My
a
horse got hit
Kleenex.
by a car on the motorway. Junior had a kidnap threat.
I was on a boat in Dubai. Harvey was in a kidnapper's house.
Never underestimate the sea.
Mucky Mansion fell apart.
I feel like we've gone on a bunch of really weird tangents today.
Yeah. I can't believe they called it Saved by the Smell. That's fine. I'm trying to think of like anything other that would work. Like, no,
That's what it's called.
I can't.
You look so mortified by it as well. That's what's killing me.
Yeah.
So do you actually have any like kinks or fetishes then?
I feel like fetish is quite a...
It's weird because I wouldn't say like I don't know that I would now be like, oh, shibari is my kink. I do it like I haven't like done it since.
Right, I feel like a kink is something that you need regularly.
Yeah.
Or one of them is the one that you need regularly.
I'm not sure. Maybe fetish is the one, and they say it's like quite narrow because fetish is something that you need in order
to get off. Oh, so that's the one.
Yeah,
then.
and it can be really limited.
Oh, okay. So then a kink is something that you don't necessarily need to get off, but you just like.
Hot or sexy. Okay. Yeah, it's like an added flavour.
Yeah, loads.
Go on.
Do you know, I'm super...
Is there anything you've actually discovered like in recent years? Apart from seeing people under fluorescence.
No, I mean, the thing is, because I've never really been in that relationship where we have that element of trust, it's difficult for me to bring up the things that I'm into.
Right.
And I remember there was one guy who we'd met in real life. We had a mutual friend, and then he'd told the mutual friend, oh, I like him. So then I was kind of like, oh, do you know what? Like, he's not bad. Like, we should definitely stay in touch. And we did. And then he asked me what I was into sexually. And I just like reeled off. What?
I don't know what I'm laughing.
So I was like reeling off all this stuff. And then I was like, what about you? And he's like, I'm pretty vanilla. I was like,
that is a hard thing though, because it's about knowing when to like disclose. Like, you know, it's about how far in are you going with someone, when you like how honest you want to be with them at the outset. But also it's important because it like if you're gonna have like
you want to get what you want.
Yeah, if you're gonna have like a proper like fulfilling sex life, you're gonna want someone that is gonna, if it's not their like thing, they're gonna at least be game for it.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. So I just feel like, as I've told you, I'm open-minded enough to do stuff like that with a one-night stand. And I felt like if I'd have slept with somebody a couple times and they brought up, oh, do you want to do this? Right. And I wasn't in a relationship with them, I'd most likely be down for it. I just feel that some of the stuff that I would like to try, maybe they're like not expert enough in. Like as I say, I'm definitely down to like do the handcuffing again.
Right.
I would like to be maybe not like that, but do you know, it was good. I would do it again, but I like the idea of like being tied up and like tying someone up. I like that idea of like playing with power like that, and one person having more power than the other. But again, you need to have trust to do that.
Yeah.
I spoke about it on Cocktails and Confessions, but that time that I think it actually might have only been on a Patreon episode, so we could probably like talk about that stuff again. But when I was choked by that guy in the van.
What? I forgot about this. Choked by a guy in a van. That just sounds like something that went wrong after he come to do the plumbing. Like, argued over the invoice.
I don't think he hadn't brought it up before we met. It was just a case of, oh, come and meet me. But he wanted to meet at 11, 12 at night in this car park in Croydon in Surrey. Do you remember?
Yeah. This does sound familiar.
And I had a kitchen knife in my glove compartment, just in case. Just in case. And that it was very enjoyable, but again, it's not necessarily something that you want to go into when you don't trust a person, because I said to him, I went, did you have a bit of a rough, like after he's like choked me out, I'm like, did you have a bit of a rough childhood? He was like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, well, like the evil in your eyes while you were choking me, I wasn't sure if you were going to stop.
Just had a bit of a intuition, you know?
Just a bit of a gut feeling while you're poking it.
I love that you fucking brought a kitchen knife in your glove compartment, because I've done that as well.
Have you?
Not because I don't drive, but I have, like, when someone's come over,
put it under a pile of clothes,
put it under the side of the bed.
Just in case, like, you get a vibe sometimes.
But I did then at one point realise, after a guy had left, how visible I had left the knife, and that if he had like looked over the side of the bed, he would have just seen it there. And if I was that guy and I'd looked over the side of the bed and seen a kitchen knife, I would have been like, fuck me.
But also you could have left him a weapon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, handy.
So yeah, I'm very open-minded, and depended on like there's a lot of stuff that I would say yes to just for the sake of being like, oh, I've experienced it.
So you're not a prude when it comes
not
to
at all, and I'm not closed off really to anything, but I think what I try and with who depends on the person. Like, as you know, I will try something quite out there with somebody I've just met, but it depends on that person and what we're trying.
Yeah.
And then the stuff I do with people who I trust a bit more is like something different. Something a little bit more personal. Something a little bit more personal.
A little more personal. Raw.
Gra?
Raw.
We're like, gra, keep it a stack.
Raw.
Do you know, we're coming towards the end of the episode.
Oh, are we?
We
okay,
are,
yeah, that one is... Another one's flown by.
But if you enjoyed listening or watching this episode, you can follow us on social media. I'm at Gilet Slays.
And I am at IamTomDop.
Thank you for listening/watching.
Thank you. For listening.
Thank you for listening.
I always forget there's going to be people watching now.
I know. Do you think you're getting used to it or not? People on YouTube are really mean. Did you know that?
YouTube are
really
mean. That's